The Battle of Hydaspes, fought in 326 BCE near the banks of the Jhelum River in what is now modern-day Pakistan, was one of the most significant and strategically important battles in the campaign of Alexander the Great. This battle marked Alexander's confrontation with King Porus of the Parava kingdom, showcasing not only the tactical brilliance of Alexander, but also the resilience and valor of the Indian forces under Porus. The context of the Battle of Hydaspes is deeply rooted in Alexander's ambition to expand his empire. After securing vast territories across Persia and Asia Minor, Alexander set his sights on the Indian subcontinent, drawn by tales of its wealth and the legendary prowess of its armies. The march towards the Indus Valley was arduous, with Alexander's forces traversing treacherous terrains, battling harsh climates, and facing the logistical challenges of maintaining a large, diverse army far from home. The psychological and physical toll on his troops was immense, but Alexander's charismatic leadership and unyielding determination kept them moving forward. Upon reaching the western banks of the Jhelum River, Alexander encountered the formidable force of King Porus, who ruled over the region between the Jhelum and Chenab rivers. Porus, known for his immense stature and bravery, was determined to defend his kingdom against the Macedonian invaders. The geography of the Jhelum posed a significant challenge. The river, swollen with monsoon rains, was wide and turbulent, making a direct crossing difficult and dangerous. Alexander, ever the astute strategist, devised a plan to outmaneuver Porus and gain a tactical advantage. Alexander's strategy involved a combination of deception and audacious maneuvering. He divided his army into several smaller units, creating the illusion of preparing for a direct crossing at various points along the river. These feints kept Porus' forces spread thin and constantly on alert. Meanwhile, Alexander led a substantial contingent, including his elite cavalry, on a daring night march upstream to a less defended section of the river. Utilizing the cover of darkness and the natural noise of the river, Alexander's troops constructed rafts and used existing boats to cross the Jhelum, managing to land on the eastern bank with minimal opposition. The crossing itself was fraught with peril. The swollen river currents posed a threat of capsizing the makeshift rafts, and the operation required absolute silence and coordination to avoid detection by Porus sentries. Alexander's leadership was crucial during this phase, as he inspired his men to undertake the hazardous crossing with a promise of victory and glory. Once across, Alexander wasted no time in organizing his troops and preparing for the impending battle. Porus, upon realizing Alexander's successful crossing, moved swiftly to intercept the Macedonian forces. He marshaled his army, which included a considerable number of war elephants, a formidable force in ancient warfare that could strike fear into the hearts of even the most seasoned soldiers. The sight of these massive beasts, armored and ready for battle, was intended to demoralize the Macedonian troops and disrupt their formations. Porus arranged his elephants in a line, supported by infantry and cavalry, creating a formidable defensive barrier. The battle commenced with a series of skirmishes as Alexander's light infantry and cavalry harassed Porus' forces, attempting to provoke a reaction and weaken their defensive stance. Alexander, riding at the head of his companion cavalry, executed a series of flanking maneuvers, targeting the less protected flanks of Porus' army. The Macedonian phalanx, renowned for its discipline and effectiveness, engaged the Indian infantry head-on, while Alexander himself led cavalry charges to disrupt the enemy's formations. One of the critical challenges faced by Alexander's forces was the presence of Porus war elephants. These animals, trained for combat, posed a severe threat to the Macedonian phalanx. The initial charges by the elephants caused significant disruption, with the Macedonian soldiers struggling to maintain their formations under the onslaught of these massive beasts. However, Alexander's troops adapted quickly, using their superior mobility and discipline to outmaneuver the elephants. They targeted the mahouts, the drivers of the elephants, and used spears and javelins to wound the animals, causing confusion and chaos within Porus' ranks. The tide of the battle began to turn as Alexander's tactical brilliance and the disciplined resilience of his troops started to take effect. The Macedonian cavalry, executing well-coordinated flanking maneuvers, managed to encircle parts of Porus' army, isolating units and cutting off their lines of retreat. The Macedonian phalanx, despite the initial disruption caused by the elephants, pressed forward with relentless precision, pushing back the Indian infantry. Amidst the chaos, Porus displayed remarkable courage and leadership. Riding atop his war elephant, he rallied his troops, fighting valiantly against the advancing Macedonians. His towering presence and personal bravery inspired his soldiers, many of whom fought with a fierce determination to defend their king and homeland. The battle raged on, with neither side willing to concede an inch of ground. Alexander, recognizing the importance of breaking the morale of Porus' forces, focused on a decisive engagement. He concentrated his cavalry and elite infantry units on breaching the central position of Porus' line, where the Indian king himself commanded from atop his elephant. In a fierce and brutal assault, Alexander's troops managed to pierce through the defensive line, isolating Porus and his immediate retinue. Despite being surrounded, Porus continued to fight with unwavering determination. His defiance in the face of overwhelming odds earned the respect of Alexander and his men. Eventually, however, Porus was wounded and captured. Even in defeat, his dignity and valor left a lasting impression on Alexander. The aftermath of the Battle of Hydaspes marked a significant moment in Alexander's campaign. Instead of exacting severe retribution, Alexander treated the captured Porus with honor and respect. Recognizing his bravery and leadership, Alexander restored Porus to his throne, albeit as a vassal king under Macedonian suzerainty. This act of clemency not only secured the loyalty of Porus, but also helped to stabilize the newly conquered territories. The Battle of Hydaspes had far-reaching implications. It demonstrated Alexander's strategic brilliance and his ability to adapt to new forms of warfare. The battle also showcased the resilience and martial prowess of the Indian armies, highlighting the challenges that lay ahead for any conqueror venturing into the Indian subcontinent. For Alexander's troops, the victory was a testament to their discipline and the leadership of their charismatic commander. However, the battle also marked a turning point in Alexander's campaign. The heavy losses and the grueling nature of the conflict, coupled with the increasing weariness and discontent among his troops, led to growing reluctance to continue the eastward march. The encounter with the formidable forces of Porus underscored the immense challenges that awaited further into India. Eventually, this realization contributed to Alexander's decision to halt his eastward expansion and begin the long journey back to the heart of his empire. The legacy of the Battle of Hydaspes endures as a symbol of the clash between two great civilizations. It serves as a reminder of the complexities and nuances of ancient warfare, where strategy, bravery, and the human spirit played decisive roles. The encounter between Alexander the Great and King Porus remains a poignant chapter in the annals of history, illustrating the timeless themes of ambition, valor, and the enduring quest for glory.